Hello everybody, I'm the pilot Blake and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be giving you guys a full tour of my flight simulator setup. I've had requests to do a setup tour in the past and I'm always getting questions about like what kind of equipment I use. So today I thought we would go over all of that and I'll just show you everything that I use. So here she is in all of her glory. I figured we'd start over here on the left-hand side, work our way across the desk, around, and then up through the cockpit and show you all of my peripherals, and we'll get to that. So starting over here on the left-hand side, we've got these two boxes. These boxes have the extra levers for the Bravo throttle quadrant over there, which we'll talk about when we get there, of course. But something really cool about this throttle quadrant is you can swap it between different configurations based on what kind of airplane you're flying. So right now I've got it set up in kind of my twin Boeing configuration as we're loaded up in the 737 here. But you can easily just pull those levers out and put different ones on. And so I have the extras in these boxes. And then these are just the little covers that go on the throttle quadrant for the spots that aren't being used. So that is what is in those boxes. That little baggie, those are the switch grips for the Thrustmaster T16000M stick. So something really cool about this stick is it can be swapped between a left-hand and right-handed stick. So right now, of course, I have it mounted on the left side here. I can easily plug it in and use it as a left-handed stick for like an Airbus or a Cirrus or something like that. So that's why I have it set up like that for now. But you can easily just swap those grips and use it as a center stick or a stick on the other side. So I do have a center mount. That's what that is. So if I wanted to, I can mount that to the center of the seat down there in those little holes, and then mount the stick on top of that and have a center mounted stick. So pretty cool. Again, we'll get to all that, but I just wanted to quickly explain the switch grip situation. That's a little tripod that came with one of my webcams. I don't remember if it was that one or that one. One of those is a Logitech C920. That's what that one is. And then that's a C922. We'll talk a little bit about that when we get there. But that's just a tripod that came with it that I don't use. So I have it back there in case I want it. Because as you can see, I have the webcams mounted with different solutions. And then back there, that is the track clip for the TrackIR. So we'll talk about TrackIR. That's what that guy is right there on the top of the main monitor. That's what allows me to look around the cockpit. So you have a track clip, which is what that is, and that can like be mounted to like a hat or something like that. But then I also have the Track Clip Pro over there that can be clipped onto the side of your headset, and the camera, that little TrackIR camera right there, will look at either one of the two depending on which one you're using. And we forgot to talk about the desk. So the desk, I actually don't know anything about other than it's a 6-foot desk. It's 2.5 feet deep. It's the right size, the right height for what I need. But my grandpa gave this desk to me. His company built and managed hotels, and a hotel that they were managing burned down, and they were getting rid of these desks. So he got a few of them, and I took one for myself. So I don't know anything about it other than that. But I will do my best to link everything in the description below that I can. But that desk will probably not be in the description because, again, I just don't know anything about it. The main monitor is an Aorus FV43U. It's a 43-inch 4K gaming monitor, 144 hertz. It's awesome. I love it. It's the right size. It has a great image on it. The only thing that could be better would be an OLED, but you know, you get what you pay for. And I have no problem with this. And I do have a little remote over here. That's the Aorus remote that you use to control the monitor. So pretty cool built-in speakers as well. So I don't have any kind of speaker system besides just what's in there, but most of the time, obviously, I'm using my headphones anyways. Up top, like I said, TrackIR version 5, I think. I don't know, TrackIR has been around for a very long time. I got that a few years ago for Christmas, and it's awesome. It's what allows me to look around the cockpit and stuff like that. And like I said, I have the Track Clip Pro and the Track Clip back behind the monitor, like we talked about. Over there, we've got the second monitor. Again, I don't know anything about it. I've just got my EAA October wallpaper up right now, of course. But I don't know anything about this monitor. Again, it's just kind of a standard Dell office monitor. For a second monitor, you really don't need anything special. This is just 60 hertz, 1080p, 31.5 inch monitor, I believe. So I use that for, checklists or controlling OBS, or chat, if I'm live streaming, just whatever I would want on the second display I have displayed up there. That is the Logitech Litra Glow studio light. That thing is absolutely awesome. It could be so bright. You can control the temperature of it too, whether you want more of like a warm color or more of just like a bright light, like white color. And I love that thing so much. That's a new upgrade within the last couple of months. And so it's super great because I can control it through the Logitech software, so I don't have to get up there. Like I used to have two of these studio lights, and this one actually is the one that used to be back there. I just had it on its stand, shortened back behind that monitor, and I'd have to get up and crawl through all this stuff back there to turn it on and off, and it was a pain. So being able just to control that through the Logitech software is pretty nice. Logitech C920, nothing special, 1080p webcam. A lot of people give the C920 crap. I have not had any problems with it. I mean, again, you just kind of get what you pay for. It's nothing like to write home about, but there's nothing wrong with it, in my opinion. So that's kind of the situation as what's going on the desk. Right down there, that's the PC. That is a custom built PC, although Micro Center built it for me. So I went through and picked out all the components and then paid a build fee to have it professionally built. So it's a beast. I love that thing so much. PC specs are in my about page on YouTube. So if you're curious, I have everything about that PC listed in there. But we'll just talk some of the highlights. 4080 Super, Ryzen 7 7800X 3D, 64 gigabytes of RAM, 2 terabyte NVMe SSD. I mean, it's awesome. Let's see if we can get kind of a shot in there. There's the 4080 Super right in there. I got the Arctic Freezer Liquid AIO in there. So pretty cool stuff. I really like that PC. I bought it at the end of last summer, saved up all summer for it last year, and bought it as soon as I got home from my internship last year. So I love that thing. It's really great. It is pretty much built to the recommended spec for Microsoft Flight Sim 2024, which made it pretty awesome. Over here we've got just a little side table I use for putting my stuff on. So we talked about the Track Clip Pro already. That it's honestly kind of a cheap piece of equipment, but this little clip here can clip onto the side of your headset, like right there. And then you can use that to look around the cockpit with that TrackIR. I believe this is just a Turtle Beach Xbox One controller. As far as Flight Sim goes, I don't use it too much. I mean, you could use it for like walking around outside of the airplane, or for like drone cam and stuff like that. And sometimes I do use it for that. But honestly, for the most part, I just use it for playing other games. Because yes, I do play other games besides Flight Sim on the setup. It's kind of ridiculous to be sitting in here playing GTA or something like that, but I do that. So anyways, that's what that's about. Here's my newest upgrade. This is the Audio-Technica ATH-M50X STS stream set. And so it's plugged into my Focusrite Scarlett Solo 3rd Gen USB audio interface. And then that just feeds directly into the PC. So this thing is awesome. It's a condenser microphone mounted to the M50X headsets basically. So it's awesome. It has great sound quality. The microphone sounds great. You guys heard it for the first time in my latest video, as I had just recently purchased that. And so it's awesome. I highly recommend it. It sounds great. Both the headphones sound great, and then the microphone sounds great, which is really important for recording and stuff like that. So, and the Focusrite is just awesome as well. I think it's perfect for my setup. That's a fairly budget-friendly quality audio interface. And it's got phantom power and all that stuff for the condenser mic. So pretty cool stuff. And then over here, Logitech C922 1080p webcam. Again, nothing to write home about, but we use this for the peripheral cam. So that's what I use to shoot all my peripherals. And then we've got this little, like I said, this is just a cheap studio light that I got on Amazon for, I think it was like a 2-pack for like $30-something. The one that I had, so again, I used to have 2, and the one that used to be back here when this one was over there stopped working. So when I moved to this new place and I set everything up and I got that new studio light, I moved the one back there that was still working back here, and now it doesn't work. It doesn't work anymore. So kind of unfortunate. But to be honest, the Litra Glow lights everything up super well. And between that and the lamp that I have behind us to light things up, it does okay. So I'm probably not even gonna replace that anytime soon. Maybe someday, of course, but for now, probably just gonna live with it because it makes for a perfect mount for the webcam. So again, the C922 versus the C920, there really isn't that much difference. I don't know all the details and what the differences are, but again, it's just 1080p, kind of a standard 1080p webcam. Nothing to write home about, but again, I haven't had any issues with it either, so no complaints there. And that's the little controller for the for this studio light right there. So again, I used to have to get up and go, control it, turn it on and off on that controller back there, and crawl through all this stuff. So it was kind of a pain. But here it's no problem just reaching for it. But too bad it doesn't work. All right, so the Cockpit. This is the Next Level Racing Flight Simulator Pro. So it's a Flight Seat Pro mounted to the Flight Stand Pro, and together they make up the Flight Simulator Pro. So originally I just had the Flight Stand Pro, which is absolutely awesome. I mean, both of these components are just awesome because there's so much customizability. You can mount all kinds of stuff wherever you want. I mean, you can mount stuff, like on there, and same thing on the other side. So it's pretty cool. And there's even some stuff that I'm not utilizing, and I have the extra components and parts under here. Like I said, that's my center mount for the stick, which I have used in the past, but I just don't have it set up right now. And then other components and stuff is in that box, and on top of that box, that's all kinds of other stuff that you can bolt on and mount stuff to. So the customizability is just amazing with this setup, which is my favorite part of it. And we'll go through, everything that I have. Well, let's start talking just about the Flight Seat Pro. So the Flight Seat Pro here is pretty awesome. Again, it has, this mount here on it, which I have my Thrustmaster T16000M throttle quadrant mounted there. So again, anytime I want to center mount that stick, I just mount it there. I plug that in, and then I have a right-handed center stick with a left-handed throttle for like a fighter jet or something like that. It's pretty cool. And then this is mounted on there as well. So as far as comfort level goes, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, it's not the most comfortable seat in the world. It's not necessarily super uncomfortable, but it's not the best. I mean, your butt kind of starts to hurt after sitting in there for a long time. And I'm not a huge fan of the back, the way that it curves forward. I mean, it works, especially with this back support, it works fine. But it's almost leaned a little bit too far forward when it's in its upright position like this, and there's no like intermediate, so it can lean back and forth. You've got these little levers you pull up on each side here, and you can lean the seat back and forth, which is nice, but there's kind of some big gaps between the different settings that you can have it set to. I didn't explain that very well, but it's not the best, but it's also not the worst. I mean, it's not like you're buying a super comfortable gaming chair or something like that, but it's also not like you're buying a super uncomfortable one. It's just kind of middle of the road. But for flight sim, it's it's perfect, and this whole cockpit is just perfect for flight sim, which is why I love it so much. So that's the Flight Seat Pro. The Flight Stand Pro, I actually had the Flight Stand Pro first. I had that for several months before I added the Flight Seat Pro to it. And the Flight Stand Pro is awesome. I mean, it is so great. You can mount your yoke right there in the center. So it has this little clamp mount right here, or this little thing that you mount under there, so you can clamp a yoke onto it. But if your yoke can be bolted on there or something, that's an option as well. So it's pretty nice. Again, just so much customizability in this whole setup. You got your rudder pedals bolted on down there, and this whole platform that the pedals are mounted to adjust. It adjusts its angle, back and forth. There's just all kinds of adjustments on this thing too, which is just so nice. I mean, there's just so much customizability. You're gonna keep hearing me say that, but that's the best part about it. It's very customizable. It's really sturdy and heavy. I mean, this is real high quality metal. You can hear that. It's just rock solid. So absolutely love it. So let's go ahead and get started talking just about the peripherals that I have mounted to it. So we've already kind of talked about the T16000M here, set up with the stick and the throttle. So for the most part, this is the way I keep things set up all the time. So I have the stick mounted over here as a left-handed stick. So right now I have the yoke plugged in because I'm flying a 737, but if I wanted to fly an Airbus or a Cirrus or something, I've got this little USB adapter, USB ports right there, I guess you would say. And you can easily just swap back and forth. So right down there is the cord. I've got see if you can see it, right back there is the plug for the stick. So if I wanted to, I could just easily unplug the yoke right there, plug the stick in, and boom, I have a side stick instead of a yoke. So I have it set up so I can easily swap back and forth between throttles and yoke and stick. So that's the way I have it set up for the most part. Over here, this is just a little clipboard that I had from an old knee board that I used for real flying. And I've got a little notepad for that, so if I'm flying on VATSIM or something, I can use that just like I would in the real world. The yoke is the Honeycomb Alpha yoke, and that's like one of the oldest components that I have. I've had that thing for probably 5 or 6 years. I got it literally when the Honeycomb Alpha yoke came out, so however many years ago that was. And the only problem I've had with it is that this plug, that plug right there, originally it comes with like a coiled cord that you plug in here and in there, and that's what allows you to use all the buttons on the yoke itself. It doesn't run through the shaft like it does on a lot of yokes, and I really wish it did, because over time this plug wore out with that coiled cord. So what I did is I took just an Ethernet cable and I wrapped it up. You can see it's just wrapped up in there, but I set it up and zip tied it on there, so there's no tug on that cord at all now when I pull back and forth. But the damage has kind of already been done. That plug is no good, and if you ever watch me hand flying an airplane, you're gonna always see me reaching up and playing with that plug when I'm trying to trim or something, because I'll get a runaway trim or something because that plug goes bad. in the middle of trimming the airplane. So kind of a pain. I'm not sure exactly the solution I'm going to come up with that for that long term. Honestly, it'll probably just be buying another Honeycomb Alpha, because otherwise I love the Yoke. I mean, it's got a great feel to it. I love the 90 degrees of rotation, and I love being able to mount my keyboard right on top. It makes it really convenient. So this is just a mount that I came up with for an iPad, because I do use my iPad sometimes with ForeFlight in the sim, just because, you know, that's what I use in real life, so I like to keep things consistent. And originally I had an iPad mount that clamped onto the desk and came off an arm and came out right here in between the Yoke and the throttle quadrant. And it was okay. It was kind of flimsy because how far it came out, you would touch the iPad and it would start like rocking around because it came from such a long arm. So that was annoying for one. And for two, it didn't fit very well between the Yoke and the throttle quadrant. So like when I would go to like bring my gear up or something, I would bump it all the time, and it was just not good. So what I did is I took just the mount piece from the arm, I took it off, and then I zip tied it onto my Yoke. So it's been awesome. I wished I had thought of it sooner, because this is a much better solution. The iPad fits perfectly, an iPad mini fits perfectly in the Honeycomb Yoke there. So it's been great since I did that. The keyboard, Corsair K1, what is it, K55, K155 or whatever, 65, I don't know. It's like their cheapest RGB keyboard model. I'm not a keyboard gamer, and I don't really use it for anything special, so it's just a membrane keyboard. It's not mechanical or anything like that, but it is RGB and it looks great. So, and it has the stream keys over here on the side, so you can program these keys to whatever you want in OBS and just have a quick toggle right there, which is pretty nice. So I have it Velcroed to the top of the Yoke, which again is super, super convenient. Again, this whole rig comes with this piece here is a keyboard mount, but again, I just don't use it because I don't need to. I'd much rather have the keyboard right there in front of me, Velcroed on top of the Yoke. But I understand that's not an option for like people who use the TCA Yoke or something like that. So you always have options. Over here, we've got, this is the Logitech G203 gaming mouse. Again, it's just like a cheap RGB gaming mouse. I really like it though, because it's a nice size and it looks great. Under it, we've got this Microsoft Flight Simulator mouse pad. And I can't remember where I got that from. I think it was from like Sporties or something like that, maybe My Pilot Shop or something. Again, I'll try to find it and link it in the description so you can go check it out for yourself. But what I love about it is that it perfectly fills out this mount. So I'm not using this mount for anything, so I thought, why don't I just have a mouse pad that's the size of this mount? Because the mouse pads that come with the Next Level Racing Cockpit, you have two options. One of them is like a big keyboard sized mouse pad, and one of them is just a little itty bitty mouse pad that covers like a third of this. And so this was the right solution for me, and I love the Microsoft Flight Simulator look to it, because we're playing Microsoft Flight Simulator, so why not? So that's that. Oh, we missed the rudder pedals. Just the Logitech G Flight rudder pedals. Again, nothing to write home about, but they are what they are. That's going to be one of my next peripheral upgrades. I'm probably going to get the Honeycomb Charlie rudder pedals. So that way we have the Alpha Bravo Charlie setup, which would be pretty cool. But right now I just still have the Logitech pedals. Again, I've had those for forever, since I first got into flight sim like 6 years ago. That's what I got. So, they're not the worst, but they're certainly not the best either. But to be fair, I've had nothing to compare them to, so me saying they're not the worst, a lot of you who use TCA pedals or Charlie pedals are probably like, yeah, they are the worst. Anyways, they're kind of bottom of the market, I get it, but I have nothing to compare them to, and I have no complaints, so I'm gonna leave it like that for now. but that will be one of my next upgrades. All right, Honeycomb Bravo throttle quadrant. This is my favorite peripheral that I have over everything else. That is my favorite peripheral. You've got your gear selector, and all these lights work, by the way. I should have powered up the 737 so you guys could see. Okay, I turned on the battery in the 737 so you guys could see the lights in action. So you got your gear lights there and a gear switch, trim wheel, and then again, all these levers are interchangeable depending on what airplane you're flying. And you've got a separate flap lever there for when you just want toggle flaps versus the flaps on an axis like we do there for the 737. You've got a full autopilot controller, which is very, very useful and pretty awesome. And then you've got 7 toggle switches here you can program to whatever you want. So this is my little cheap solution for a label for labeling those switches. So I just cut out a piece of paper and taped it on there and just wrote on there what each of the switches were for. And then you've got a little annunciator panel down there as well. So absolutely awesome. That's a friction adjustment there. So you can adjust the friction on that throttle quadrant as well. It's so awesome. That is just my favorite peripheral. By far, it was a huge upgrade when I went to that from the old Logitech throttle quadrant. So big fan. That's the Logitech radio panel, which is pretty nice for flying on VATSIM or with Beyond ATC and stuff like that. I don't use it a lot though in like career mode and things like that, just because, I don't really need to, given that you can just talk to ATC using your enter key. They just prompt you to press that button and respond to ATC and switch radios and frequencies and stuff like that. But it is pretty nice, and you can do your different adjustments here. So right now, by default, I have the top one on COM 1, the bottom one on COM 2, but you can also adjust your nav radios, and you can do ADF, DME, and your transponder code in there as well. The spacer here is something I got off of Etsy, which is pretty cool because by default, when you mount this radio on top of the Bravo, there is an overhang, and also it's really close to the autopilot controller, so there's no space there really. So I got the spacer off Etsy that somebody 3D printed, and it basically what it does is it creates a little space and then it pushes that back. So this is just a nice flush seam all the way down between the two components there. So pretty awesome piece there. I really love it a lot. And then again, that's just the remote for the AORS monitor. Now let's see, did I miss anything? We talked about, I think, all the peripherals at this point. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's my flight simulator setup tour for 2025. This is how it is right now, but a great thing about flight sim is that you're always upgrading. You're never really done upgrading your setup. So like I said, someday I'll have a solution for that yoke issue, and then I'll get new rudder pedals, and there's always upgrades going on. So it won't be like this forever, but for this year, this is what it is, and I absolutely love it. It gets the job done, and it's a lot of fun. So, well, you guys, that's going to do it for this setup tour of my flight simulator setup. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like this video. Consider subscribing to my channel and comment down below what was your favorite component in this setup. I'd be interested to hear what you guys have in your setups as well. So drop a comment down below and let me know. But that's going to do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. I will talk to you all someday soon. Take care.